Welcome back to GameVault HQ. Today we're diving into Citadelum, a game that feels like a throwback to classic strategy, but with some fresh ideas that make it stand out. This one's been making waves, and I've been itching to see if it lives up to the hype. So, is it a must-play or a miss? Let's get into it. Citadelum, developed by Abolite, an independent Spanish studio known for its smaller-scale projects, is an interesting blend of city building, tower defense, and exploration. The game throws you right into a challenging world where you have to manage resources, build fortifications, and fend off relentless invaders. The core premise is all about survival. You start with limited resources and a small group of survivors who are struggling to establish a foothold in a hostile environment. What immediately strikes you is how much freedom you have to develop your settlement while keeping an eye on incoming dangers. The building system in Citadelum is fairly intuitive, which is refreshing for a genre that can often feel bogged down by unnecessary complexity. It's got that nice balance between being accessible and still offering enough depth to keep things interesting. You get to construct different types of buildings, upgrade them, and even plan out defensive strategies. It's a game that rewards strategic thinking without feeling overwhelming. At least, not until those enemy waves start to roll in. The art style is quite striking. Abolite opted for a detailed 2D art style with a focus on ancient Rome, capturing the historical setting with impressive accuracy. The game integrates Roman mythology seamlessly, adding both authenticity and depth to the gameplay. It gives Citadelum a retro vibe, but it doesn't come off as lazy or half-hearted. The details in the sprites and the environment are impressive, and they add a lot of personality to the game. The atmosphere feels quite tense, especially when you're caught between gathering more wood for construction or preparing your defenses against a looming enemy attack. The night cycle, in particular, brings out some great moments of suspense. Combat in Citadelum features an automated system where players decide unit positioning before each battle, with units like legionnaires, archers, and cavalry, which significantly influences the outcome. This real-time element requires juggling building, upgrading, and defending simultaneously. On one hand, this keeps you on your toes. You never really get a chance to relax. On the other hand, it can feel a bit frantic at times, especially if you're still getting used to the mechanics. It's easy to get caught off guard if you're not constantly thinking a couple of steps ahead, and the enemies don't give you much time to breathe. I found myself scrambling to get my troops into place more often than I'd like, and it made for some frustrating moments. That said, the sense of satisfaction when you finally fend off a major assault is pretty great. You've got these moments of chaos where it seems like all is lost, but then everything clicks. Your archers are lined up just right, your barricades hold, and you push the enemies back. The game has this knack for making you feel like you earned every victory, which is not something all strategy games manage to pull off. Resource management is another area where Citadelum stands out. The game doesn't spoon-feed you, and you'll often have to make tough choices about what to prioritize. Should you spend your stone to improve your defenses, or should you save it for a new building that might help you gather food faster? These decisions have real weight, and I like that the game forces you to adapt rather than just follow a predetermined path to success. There's a lot of trial and error involved, and that might not be for everyone, but if you enjoy a challenge, it's incredibly rewarding. One of the most memorable parts of my time with Citadelum was exploring the surrounding areas. The game encourages you to send scouts out beyond your settlement to find new resources, uncover hidden treasures, or locate new survivors to bring back. The inclusion of Roman gods adds a layer of complexity, where gaining favor with one deity might incur the wrath of another, which makes each decision impactful and adds an unpredictable element to exploration. These scouting missions add a nice layer of unpredictability. You never know what you might find, and sometimes the rewards are well worth the risk. But of course, sometimes you send a scout out only to have them return empty-handed, or worse, not at all. It adds a layer of tension that keeps you on edge. However, Citadelum is not without its flaws. The pacing can be a bit uneven, particularly in the early game. It takes a while to really get into the action, and I can see some players getting a bit impatient. There's also the issue of the learning curve. While the mechanics aren't overly complex, there's a lot going on, and it can be overwhelming for newcomers. A better tutorial or more gradual introduction of concepts would have gone a long way here. Another gripe is the AI. While the enemy waves are challenging, they can feel a bit predictable after a while, as noted by some players. The automated battles require strategic unit positioning, but after understanding enemy patterns, it becomes more about execution rather than adapting to new threats. This doesn't ruin the game by any means, but it does mean that after several hours, the excitement starts to dip a little. The game would definitely benefit from more variety in enemy behavior to keep things fresh. In terms of sound design, Citadelum does a decent job. The soundtrack isn't anything groundbreaking, but it sets the mood nicely. You've got those tense, atmospheric tracks during the nighttime, and more upbeat ones during the day when you're focused on building and expanding. The sound effects are punchy, especially during combat, which helps to make the fights feel more engaging. It's not the kind of soundtrack you'll remember after you put the game down, but it does what it needs to do while you're playing. Citadelum also includes a campaign mode following the rise of Emperor Augustus, allowing players to experience historical locations like Hispania, Peninsula Italica, and Egypt. This adds a historical narrative depth that will appeal to fans of ancient Rome. So should you pick up Citadelum? If you're into strategy games that combine city building and defense elements, and you enjoy a bit of a challenge, there's a lot to like here. The game has that addictive quality where you're always thinking, just one more day, just one more upgrade, and before you know it, hours have passed. It's a little rough around the edges, especially with the pacing and AI, but those are issues that could be ironed out with updates. The developers seem committed to improving the experience, and I'm curious to see where they take it. We give Citadelum a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's got enough heart and challenge to keep you hooked if you're up for it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest reviews. See you next time on GameVault HQ.